Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be getting Fallout 4 VR to run on the Steam Deck. There are quite a few steps to follow and I've split the video into 9 separate parts. Now 9 parts does sound really daunting, but each of those 9 parts indicates a separate part of the process that we need to do. This guide also assumes that you've already got ALVR set up on the Steam Deck. If not, I've made another video for that which you can find here. Links to everything used in this video will be found in the description below, so if you're not sure where to go with something, just check the description to find whatever links that you might need. If you struggle with anything in the guide, feel free to leave a comment and I'll comment back and try and help as best I can. Like my previous guides, there won't be any music and nothing fancy, and I will try my best to keep the tutorial on topic. So let's move on to part 1, which is the checklist. So obviously the first things that we're going to need, make sure we've got an ALVR compatible VR headset. That was a mouthful. 60 gigabytes of free space, or if we're not installing DLC, you'll only need about 30 gigabytes. But I would highly recommend that we install the DLC, as some mods will not be compatible without it. I've made a quick checklist of everything that we're going to be doing in the video. We'll first be installing Fallout 4 VR, obviously, but we will also need to install flat Fallout 4 because we're going to be downgrading the DLC and then moving that to Fallout 4 VR. After that, we'll be installing Mod Organizer 2 into Fallout 4 VR, which, if you followed any of my previous videos, it's the exact same process that we did for New Vegas. And then once Mod Organizer 2 is installed, we can install some performance mods and get the game up to a playable standard. Before we do any of that though, I'm just going to show you what Fallout 4 VR runs like out of the box without any modifications whatsoever, so that we can later get a bit of a comparison to the work that we've done. Feel free to skip this part of the video if you just want the guide. If you do skip this part of the video, just make sure that you run Fallout 4 VR once, just to set up the prefix. Okay, so here we are on the Steam Deck. I'm going to start Fallout 4 VR, but before we do that, we need to make sure that ALVR is running, as any VR games won't launch unless Steam VR is launched first. So let's hit play on Fallout 4 VR. Bear in mind, the first time you run the game, it will take just a little bit to set up the prefix. So we're at the main menu, and what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to throw up the Quest VR view in picture, just so you can see. Just going to make sure it's all connected. And there we are, we can see the Quest. Now you don't notice it, but there is a considerable bit of delay on the actual controller movements, but it is hard to demonstrate this in a video. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load a quick save that I've already got and show you exactly how it performs. And it's not great at all, but we will fix all these issues when we get to those parts of the guide, because obviously there's quite a few steps that we need to do. But I thought this would be an interesting way of comparing just how much work we've done to the game and how much we can improve performance with the right amount of tweaking and the right amount of mods. Okay, so we're loaded in, and you might be able to see it a bit better now, but there is a horrendous amount of delay, a lot of lag, and even just moving the Pip-Boy around, you can really see it in the video. It is 10 times worse in the headset itself. It's very sickly and it's hard to aim. I'm trying my best, but it's literally impossible. But luckily we can just use VATS to shoot him, and you can even tell by the way the bodies fall, the FPS is very, very low. So I'm gonna have to get out of here before I projectile vomit. That's what Fallout 4 is like outside the box, without any modifications. It runs sluggish, slow, it lags, and it is nearly unplayable. We're actually going to start the guide now and move on to technically the first step, but part 3 of the video, which is installing Proton tricks. So to install Proton tricks, probably the easiest step, we just go to the Discover store on our Steam Deck, and then we go to the top, and all we need to do is search for the word Proton. You may need to scroll down just a little bit, make sure you install it, and then we can now move on to the next step, which is adding the DLCs to Fallout 4 VR. So if we want to install the DLCs for Fallout 4 VR, we do have to install Fallout 4. We can install using the depot just to get the DLC, but we will still need to downgrade that DLC. So the easiest way I've found is just to install Fallout 4, and we will downgrade the whole game, including the DLCs, and then we will move those files over into Fallout 4 VR. Don't forget, when we install Fallout 4, you may need to disable the high resolution textures in the DLC section, which I'll show you here. There is no point in downloading them for the Steam Deck, and these certainly won't be useful for what we're trying to do. As you can see here, I'm going to run Fallout 4 for the first time. I'm not going to load into a save game, I'm just going to make sure it gets to the menu, just so it has time to set up the prefix and the environment that we're going to need to downgrade the game itself and get the DLCs. We don't need to do anything else, we just need to make sure it gets to the menu. That way we know everything's set up and ready for us to downgrade. So let's jump out of the game, go to our browser so we can download the Molderland Fallout 4 downgrader. The link for this will be in the description, but for the sake of the guide I'm going to type it out and go to the addresses manually, but for you, you should be able to just click it all in the description. So top result, Fallout 4, we just need to go into this page. And if we scroll down, we should see the Fallout 4 Steam downgrader, and we need to save this to our downloads. Once that file's downloaded, we need to go into our download folder, cut, and we're going to be placing this file into our Fallout 4 prefix. So to find our prefix, we need to make sure we have show hidden files enabled. Go to the folder .steam, and then we should next go to the Steam folder, and then after the Steam folder, scroll down, Steam apps, then we've got compact data, and then here are all our prefixes. So the prefix folder number is 377160. We need to click this folder, go to the prefix folder afterwards, and then drive C and paste our downgrader into this folder. So now we've got the downgrader in place, we're going to need to run the downgrader by using Proton tricks that we installed earlier. So open Proton tricks and click Fallout 4. Once that's opened, we're going to be selecting the default prefix and then pressing OK. But before we do anything with the prefix, you need to run yconfig just once, because we need to enable a thing called .files, which is in drives, which will just allow us to see all of the folders within the prefix when we're using the downgrader. So press OK there, and now we can run an Explorer window. Press OK. So now the Explorer window is open, we need to navigate to where the downgrader is and double click it to run the program like we would if we were on Windows. So this just tells you what the downgrader does. Obviously downgrades the game, so we're going to click next and we're going to find Fallout 4. So for me, I installed Fallout 4 to my SD card. It will be a bit different for you, but mine is in Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Fallout 4, and then the Fallout 4 exe file. If you install Fallout 4 to the internal storage, you'll need to go to the slash, press home, go to the deck folder, the .steam folder, and the Steam folder again. Scroll down just a little bit till you get to Steam apps, press common, and your Fallout 4 directory should be inside this folder. So once Fallout 4 has been discovered, we need to click next, and we are going to be downgrading to the pre-next gen edition, because this is the version that Fallout 4 VR is closest to, and that's the version that's compatible with the DLCs. Also make sure we block future Steam updates, and then when this box pops up, it's going to just ask us to confirm the DLC. We're just going to click yes in this, and then the downgrader should continue to do its job. Unfortunately for me, during this process, I had Fallout 4 VR installed on my SD card, so that made the process extremely lengthy. But if you look at the time in the bottom right, about 50 minutes passed, but eventually it did get to the end, and it did finish without a hiccup. Happy days, downgrader finished successfully, there was no issues, and we're going to close that. The next step is to move the downgraded Fallout 4 DLC files into the Fallout 4 VR folder. So as you know, I had mine installed on my SD card, so my Fallout 4 is in here in common, and Fallout 4, and then the data folder. So if you installed Fallout 4 to the internal drive, you'll need to go to .steam, Steam apps, press common, and then Fallout 4 should be in here. Inside the Fallout 4 directory, we're going to scroll down. Now before I move the DLC, I want to make sure we get rid of all Creation Club content, as it doesn't work with Fallout 4 VR, and it makes the copying process a bit more cumbersome. Once it's highlighted, right click and move to trash. And then what we're going to be moving is all of the files that begin with the word DLC from the top to the bottom. We're going to highlight all those. Really hard on the Steam Deck trackpads. If you want to keep these files here, you feel free to copy them. But if you're not going to be using Fallout 4, you can just cut them. I think for this instance, I'm just going to copy them because it's on my SD card anyway. So now we need to paste these into the Fallout 4 VR game folder. So to get to that, we need to go to home, .steam, press the Steam folder, scroll down to Steam apps, common, and then Fallout 4 VR. Once inside there, it's just going to the data folder and pasting it inside. For me, this process took a bit longer than usual because of the SD card, but it did copy over eventually. And that's it. We've successfully installed the DLC into Fallout 4 VR, and we should be able to play it if we launch the game. But we're going to move on to the next part now, which is installing Mod Organizer 2 into Fallout 4 VR. So for those of you who watched the last video, I did a Mod Organizer 2 video with New Vegas, and we will be following exactly the same procedure here. We'll just be searching Mod Organizer 2 into Google, choosing the third result, which takes us to releases, and then after that installing the latest and greatest version, which is 2.52, and then saving this file to our downloads. So now we've downloaded Mod Organizer 2, we're going to move it into our Fallout 4 VR prefix folder. So I'm going to press copy on this, and then I'm going to go to my prefixes once again. So if I go to .steam for the 100th time, go to Steam, scroll down to Steam apps, double click compact data, there it is. And then get my Fallout 4 VR prefix. So as before, we can click library and then go to properties, find the Steam app ID, which shows us what folder is housing our prefix, so 611660. So let's back out of this, click minimize, so 661660, click prefix, and then we paste our Mod Organizer 2 file into here. So Mod Organizer 2 is ready to install. We just need to open Proton tricks that we installed earlier, and run it. So it's the same process as we did with the downgrader. We're just running an application directly from the prefix itself, just like we would if we were on Windows. So let's click Proton Tricks. Let's open the Fallout 4 VR prefix by pressing OK. Select default wine prefix, make sure we've got that one. That's OK. Now, because this is a different prefix, we're going to open the wine config again and make sure that show.files is enabled, because you have to do this for every prefix. I've already done it here, so I'm just going to press OK and run the Explorer window. So we're going to go to C, which is basically our prefix, and run mod organizer 2 so that we can get the install started. So if I just double click this like I would Windows, the installer open, I can accept the agreement, and just for this part we're going to change where we're installing it to the C drive, and then mod organizer 2 with no space. Now you don't have to, I don't think you have to capitalize it, I just have it to capitalize. Mod organizer 2. Let's press next, and then leave everything at default, and just double check, leave everything default, press next. Don't need to do any of this, press next. We're not going to need a shortcut. Next on this, and now we just have to wait for mod organizer 2 to finish. Now that that's installed, let's launch mod organizer 2 for the first time and just do a little bit of housekeeping. So it may take a minute, but it will load. Okay, so let's click next on creating an instance. We're going to be creating a portable instance for Fallout 4 VR. We're going to use specific game saves and ini files for this profile. We're going to click next here. Same directory as before, yes, click next. We don't need to connect to the Nexus because it doesn't really work. And it's going to ask about tutorials in a second. We're not going to need to set those up either. Show tutorial, nope. We're also going to just use category defaults. Now that's set up, we need to enable all of the DLC that we installed earlier. Very hard with the trackpad, but very doable. So now we need to close down mod organizer 2. And what we'll be doing is adding the launch command that's in the description into the Steam launch commands for Fallout 4 VR. So if you just right click Fallout 4 VR, click properties, and then where it says launch commands, we just paste it straight into here. This just makes it so that mod organizer 2 will launch instead of Fallout 4 VR. Okay, so before we launch Fallout 4 VR, we need to make sure that Steam VR is running, because Steam VR must always be running if we want to launch Fallout 4 VR. But it also applies for mod organizer. So if we tried to launch mod organizer without Steam VR, mod organizer would launch, but we would not be able to hook successfully into Fallout 4 VR. So always make sure that we've got ALVR running with Steam VR before we launch Fallout 4 VR and mod organizer. So I'm just going to click play there, give it a second, make sure the launch command works. There we are, mod organizer 2 is launching successfully, and we're back. We can see the DLC, everything else is here, everything seems to be working. But just to double check, I'm just going to launch Fallout 4 VR and make sure that it appears in the headset and that everything is set up correctly. I have had issues in the past where Fallout 4 VR would just automatically close, but when we do everything in the right order, we should get everything to work. So sometimes when you install a DLC, if you've installed the DLC wrong, or if the DLC is not correctly downgraded, what can happen is Fallout 4 can load, we can get into the menu, but it'll crash the moment we try and load a save game. So just to check that's not happening, I'm going to press new game, and as long as we get into the open cinematic and just into the first little bit of the level, we'll know that it's successfully worked. So there we are, Fallout 4 VR seems to be loading fine. So once we see that fade to white and we're in the bathroom, I'm going to quit back out and we're going to move on to part 6. So we've got our DLC installed, Fallout 4 VR runs successfully, and now we need to move on to installing a couple mods to fix the performance. So as you've seen from the beginning, if you watch the beginning, the performance is pretty bad. So there's just a few mods that we need to install to balance that out and make the performance consistent and playable. So the first mod we're going to install will be called FSR, and it is an image upscaler which will allow us to put our resolution down and get it upscaled back up and maintain a consistent performance. So I'll leave it in the description, but FSR Flodger, probably butchered that pronunciation, but we're going to click this page and we're going to go to releases on the right hand side and then download OpenVR_FSR to the downloads folder. Once we're in the downloads folder, we're going to open this file and we'll be copying these files into the Fallout 4 VR game directory. So same as before, we go to .steam, Steam, scroll down Steam Apps, press the common folder Fallout 4 VR, and then drag these files into the folder itself. Remember not to put it into the data folder, as that's not the right folder, because we need to replace the OpenVR API file. And then with that, the mod is installed. Once that's done, we're going to be editing the config file, because there are 4 options to choose from varying from top quality to lowest quality. I choose the balance preset in the render scale at 0.59. I found the performance was a bit too pixelated to read the terminals, so I chose to keep it at balanced, and that for me offered a good balance of performance. So the next mod on the list will be the VR script extender. We're going to need this if we install many mods, so if you're thinking about adding some mods later on, you're going to need the script extender. So we just go to the official website and we click the VR build, save that to downloads, and then just like before with OpenVR, we're going to be installing it straight into the games folder. So if we just go to downloads, double click on Fallout 4 SEVR, we just highlight everything in there and we're going to be drag and dropping it into the Fallout 4 directory. So let's just move that over, make sure it's all highlighted, and anything it asks, make sure we replace, just apply to all and then click overwrite. So now we're going to be going to the Fallout 4 Nexus page and just getting our VR performance mods. So if we just go on the top, Fallout 4 Nexus, I'll leave a link in the description just so you can click it. We're going here and we need to go to the mod section, and if we look just on the left we'll see categories. We can scroll down this list and we're looking for VR focused mods. So we just tick that box here. Next, organise the list. So I'll be organised by top endorsements, so the most popular mods come first. So first mod we're going to be getting is Frick. So now we just scroll down and the next mod is the Fallout 4 VR optimization project. Click open new tab. Scroll down and the DLC VR. This just makes sure that the DLC is going to correctly work on our game, and we're going to also get full dialogue VR. There's also another mod that is a requirement of Frick, which is the VR address library. We're going to add that to our little list at the top. And then with that done, we can start downloading the mods. So if we just go to the Files tab on each mod and click Manual Download, then press Download, it'll ask us free or peasant. We click peasant here and then just click the save button. So now we're going to get the Fallout 4 VR optimization project. Now for this mod there is more than one file, and if you don't have the DLC you will only need one of them, which is the Commonwealth Downtown version, but obviously we've got the DLCs, so we're going to have to get all of them. If you're a peasant like me, then you just press slow download and just do each file one at a time into the downloads folder. Next mod is DLC VR, which is our DLC fixes. We're going to go to files and we're just going to go for the bottom one because it's a merged plugin of the two fixes for both DLCs into one. Peasant tier, and then slow download and save to downloads. The next mod is the F4 SEVR address library. We just click slow download, save this one to downloads too. And then the mod I threw in for the sake of it, which was the full dialogue VR mod. I'm just going to manually download this one and save this one to the downloads. Okay, so now we've got all of our mods. We're going to move them all into the Mod Organizer 2 downloads folder so that we can install them through Mod Organizer. So we're just going to highlight all of them. I'm going to cut them, and then we're going to need to go to our Fallout 4 VR prefix, which is in .steam. Press the Steam folder once again. Scroll right down to Steam Apps. Then we go to Compat Data and get to our prefix again, which is 611660. Click the prefix folder, click Drive C, and we go to Mod Organizer 2. And then there will be a folder called Downloads, which is where all of our mods will need to go. So we just paste them in here, and then Mod Organizer 2 should be able to see these files. But to make this process a bit easier, we're going to add this Downloads folder onto the left side of our Explorer Dolphin window. So I'm just going to edit this and call it Fallout 4 VR Mods. So in future we can drag and drop all of our mods straight from the downloads folder into the sidebar. So another mod we need to get is the VR FPS stabilizer, which will change our settings as we play to keep that frame rate as stable as possible. So what I'll do is I'll download this file, I'll place it in downloads, and I'll show you just how easy it is to add future mods using the sidebar trick we've just set up. So just save this to the downloads folder. Let's minimize, go to downloads, and we can just drag from the side and straight into here. Okay, so the final mod that we're going to get is the Insignificant Object Remover. All this does is just removes a few in-game objects, nothing important. Helps just bump that frame rate up just slightly, because we're going to be needing every frame. So let's save this file to downloads and do exactly what we did a second ago. And we can drag it straight into the Mod Organizer 2 downloads folder. So let's go back to downloads. Drag and drop into the side. Oh, sorry, trackpad's very difficult. So drop it into here, and we should be ready to install our mods. So I'm not going to run ALVR, I'm just going to run Fallout 4 VR. Make sure that's closed, because ALVR and Steam VR, it does affect performance if you just leave it running in the background. So just for now, I'm going to leave it closed while we install our mods. You can install it with Steam VR running, but you may encounter performance issues. A common quirk I've encountered is if you're trying to use the on-screen keyboard with Steam VR running, it can sometimes fail to register your inputs, which is quite annoying when you're trying to do things like editing INI files or trying to do anything with the on-screen keyboard. So now that Mod Organizer 2 is open, we're going to add the script extender so that we can launch our mod. So if we just click up here and go to edit, we can click the little plus icon at the top, press add from file, and then we just select our script extender loader from the game directory, and then we're going to be copying the destination, not the file itself. So we just click copy on this and paste it into the start in section. We're going to press force load libraries, use applications, icons, and then we're going to press OK. Now that that's done, we can start installing the mods. Just go to the downloads tab, and then we double click each file and install them one at a time. So I'll install the interiors, just going down the list one at a time. I will skip ahead, but I will show you the process for installing all of the mods. I'll just skip the install part so it goes straight to the end. Just install them one at a time. We won't enable them just yet. We'll make sure that they all install successfully first. The optimization mod will probably take the longest out of most of the mods because there's quite a few files within them. It makes quite a few changes to the game, but it will increase our performance, which is exactly what we need to get the game running stably. So next up, the VR address library. We're just going to double click this as we have with the other mods, and it should install straight away. Full dialog VR, press OK on that one, and then the DLC VR fixes next. Press OK. Now insignificance object remover, I'm going to click full to get the full changes the mod can provide. You can lower this, but obviously I want to optimize my FPS, so I'm going to go with full. We're going to install Frick now, and there is an additional step that we need to take with Frick, which involves going to the website. So let's show you how to set that up. Install it through Mod Organizer, and then we just go back to the page and go to the documentation wiki. And then we should go to the installation section. And then we need to be copying this text in this box into our Fallout 4 VR ini file, which is pretty easy when you've got Mod Organizer, so I'll do it for you now. Let's copy all this with my awful trackpad accuracy. So let's copy this. Go back to Mod Organizer 2, and then we just press this little folder icon, click Open Inis folder, and then we double click Fallout 4 custom.ini. We just paste the text into here, and then save the document. So let's go back to Mod Organizer 2 and enable all these mods that we've just installed, and the process is almost done. So tick all these boxes on here, just go down the list. It's very difficult with the trackpads, but if you've got a mouse that probably makes it easier. Okay, so now we can use this sort option to make sure our plugins are in the right order so that they load properly and we won't get any conflicts. So if you just press sort, it'll take a second and then it will complete. After that, let's just move Fallout 4 script extender to the top of the list. This will make it the default launch option. So the final mod to install is the VR FPS stabilizer. We're going to click yes to this and then press next. Then press next again. So this option for me might be a bit different for you. I've got a Quest 1 headset, so I'm going to choose 72Hz reprojected at 144. If you've got a Quest 2, the refresh rate can go up to 120, but I would just choose 90 to keep it safe. If you're not sure, just choose my options and choose 72. So let's click next on that. This part is about how much of the graphics you really want to change. I don't want to compromise the visual quality too much by going low full, so I'm going to choose medium full, but if you really want to get those extra frames, you can put it lower than I have. So if we look to the top left of our install box, we can just see all of the options that this mod is going to change, and when that's done and you're happy with that, press next or install and then enable the mod. And with that done, we can move on to the next part, which is called additional tweaks. So when you first boot Fallout 4 VR, even with all the mods, you may notice it's quite juddery. To fix this, you just need to go to the Steam video settings and enable legacy reprojection mode. So if you feel like performance still isn't there, or you're getting a bit motion sick, there is some extreme ways that we can increase the performance. But for me, I feel this compromises the visual quality just a bit too much. So the lower we put these values, the closer you'll have to be for objects to load in. So if you put them to 1, everything's going to load in the moment you're a meter away. Feel free to tweak these values. My recommendation would be set the objects to about 7, maybe set the actors to 7 and items to about 4, and that should give you a nice boost without making it too compromised. You can also disable lens flare and depth of field, but the performance impact will probably be minimal. These tweaks probably seen as more of a personal thing for me, but the use wand directional movement 0 means that your player, when you walk forward, will follow the direction of your head rather than the wand. And by wand I just mean controllers. So HTC Vive used to call the controllers wands, so they've just left that in as a setting. But I would personally set that to 0 because most of the VR games do use head-based movement. Workshop rotation is for when you're in workshop mode and you try and rotate objects. You might notice it goes at about 100 miles an hour, whereas this, it makes it go very slow, so you can just get that precision when building settlements. So what you need to do is go to the description, copy those commands and just paste them into the bottom of the Fallout 4 preferences ini file. After that, when you start the game, those settings should apply. So I've done a full playthrough of Fallout 4 VR using this guide, and one of the issues that I encountered was with Nuka World itself. So the moment you get off the train in Nuka World, you'll end up stepping out into the gauntlet and nothing is loaded. Everything will be glitchy and flashy and you won't be able to see a thing. So the only fix that I could actually find for this was to disable pre-combined objects and pre-culling. The only issue with this, it does affect performance quite massively. So if you want to play through Nuka World, I would recommend that you install Scrap Everything, make sure you disable object culling, play through the DLC, make sure you don't build any settlements or anything like that, and then you should be able to get to the end of the story, finish the DLC, and then when you travel back to the Commonwealth, just disable the mod and then everything should be fine. It is a bit tricky and it can break pre-combines, which might ruin your save, so just make sure if you go back to the Commonwealth during the DLC, just make sure you disable Scrap Everything. You can leave Scrap Everything on and you can still get a decent bit of performance from it and can scrap more items. I personally leave it on, but that's because I'm not prone to motion sickness. But for most people, I'd probably recommend keeping pre-combined objects on. So I just thought here I would show what settings I use in game. So on the performance settings, I disable anti-aliasing, I keep anthroposcopic filtering on 16, I put the shadow distance to low and the shadow quality to low, I leave rain occlusion on and maximum particles to 0 and leave character lighting on. So on my personal settings, I tend to use direct movement. Make sure I disable all of the black bars around the sides. I put my direct movement speed to fast and I use a projected hit buoy because I find it just a bit easier than on your wrist. So last but not least are the resolution settings. So if you find you still need more performance, what you can do is you can tweak the resolution slider, which is in the Steam VR video settings for Fallout 4. You can't change them in game. Once you've changed them, you need to restart the game to make those settings take effect. But you can still do it, and I recommend you lower it in increments of 10% or 5%. Until you reach the desired performance. So for part 8, I'm just going to do a gameplay showcase. I'm going to stop talking, and what you can do is you can compare performance in this video to the performance in the video in the very beginning, so that you can see how much we've increased the FPS. After that, I'll come back and just give a few final thoughts about the video.
We need to get in. We're on the list.
God, we're gonna die!
Infant, adult male, adult female. Okay, go ahead.
They'll let us in. Thank you.
Good luck, ma'am.
Step on the platform, in the center! Head to the elevator. Sir, I need to operate the elevator. Get out of the control room.
Excuse me.
The platform's over there, sir. All right, that's it. Send it down.
Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too. Oh my God!
Send it down now!
Hold on!
Can't this thing move faster?
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! We did it. We made it. We're okay.
Everyone please, step off the elevator and proceed up the stairs in an orderly fashion.
No need to worry, folks. We'll get everyone situated in your new home. Vault 111. A better future. No, we don't. Don't bother thinking about that. You're safe now.
In an orderly fashion. Welcome home.
This way.
This one's good.
Step over to the table, take a seat. Just...
You'll need your suits before we can take you further.
Thanks. What now?
Just follow the doctor here. He'll show you where to go.
All right, you three. Follow me.
See?
It's stuck.
This is our new home.
It's a good fit.
Just checking everyone off the list as they come in.
Fashionable as well as comfortable.
Prepared for the future, right?
Such a lovely family you have. I hope you'll see this as your new home.
Hey.
Guess we're some of the lucky ones, right? Whew.
Just step in here and put your vault suit on.
Excuse me.
Just step
Be
into the
okay.
chamber.
Daddy's right here. See? Honey, could you help me?
Who's my little guy? I'm not going far. I'll just be over there.
There he is, see?
The pod will decontaminate and depressurize you before we head deeper in the vault. Just relax.
Time for a whole new life.
Resident secure. Suspend.
This is the one. Here.
Open it.
I'm not giving you Sean!
Get out of here. Let's go. At least we still have a backup.
Cryogenic reinitialized. cycling sequence initiated. Please stand back. Enjoy your return to the surface, and thank you for choosing Vault Tech.
As I live and breathe. Oh, it's really you.
Codsworth? You're still here. So other people could still be alive too.
But you seem the worse for wear. Best not let the wife see you.
She can't be
Leaving?
dead.
So soon?
She can't be.
Was it something I said?
I'm in a dream. I'm in a bad dream.
And with that, we've reached the end of the video. So it did end up being quite a lot longer than I intended it to be. So the video's nearly reaching an hour, which took me a long time to edit. Hopefully it wasn't too hard to follow. I did try to make it as simple as I can using the 9-step guide. I will be inserting chapters into the video, so that'll make it easier to navigate. All links will be in the description down below. So if you're struggling to find anything, then just go into the video description and you'll be able to find it there. And I do apologise about the audio. You may notice it flickers on and off every now and again, so it's a bit choppy, but I am using a really ancient iMac, which does struggle because I'm editing large amounts of HD video, and this Mac is a mid-2009 model. I think it's near the end of its life. So I hope the video was some help to you. Feel free to leave a like. And if you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.